All right, everybody, welcome back. You ready to dive in?
Always.
We got a listener request this week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they want us to dig into Haggai, chapters 1 and 2 especially. You
Oh,
familiar?
yeah. It's a fascinating one for sure. Full of rebuilding and prioritizing.
And I think that's something we could all use a little help with these days, right? Like just figuring out where to even begin.
Yeah, absolutely. Where to start, what matters most. It's a timeless challenge.
Well, Haggai speaks directly to that. He was a prophet who spoke to the Israelites, after they returned from exile in Babylon.
Right, right. Huge moment in their history. Finally back home after all those years.
Except home wasn't exactly what they expected. I mean, can you imagine returning after years away and finding your house is totally wrecked? That's kind of the situation they were facing.
It wasn't just their homes, though, right? I mean, the whole city, the temple in Jerusalem, it was a symbol of their faith, their connection to God, and it was in ruins.
Totally
Mhm.
devastated. So they had this huge task ahead of them, like rebuilding their lives, their community,
Mhm.
and the temple.
Talk about overwhelming. And that's where Haggai comes in. He doesn't sugarcoat things either. He's like their coach trying to get them back in the game.
So what's the game plan? What does Haggai tell them to do?
Well, chapter 1, he kind of lays into them a bit. He points out that they're focusing on their own comfort, building fancy houses for themselves while God's temple is still a mess.
Oh, so it's like coming home after a long trip and just collapsing on the couch instead of unpacking. Like, you should deal with it. But hey, Netflix is calling.
Right. But for them, this wasn't just about a messy house. This is about their relationship with God.
Your spiritual foundation was crumbling.
Exactly. Rebuilding the temple wasn't just construction. It was about rebuilding their spiritual lives, their connection to God. Haggai's challenging them to examine their priorities.
I can already feel the conviction. So is this whole putting God first thing the main point?
Yeah, it's a big one. Haggai uses this powerful phrase, consider your ways.
Whoa, that's like a spiritual gut punch. Like he's holding up a mirror saying, are you really living in line with what matters most?
But hold on a sec. Doesn't the Bible tell us to work hard, provide for our families, build a good life? It's a bit of a mixed message, isn't it?
Good point. It can seem confusing. It's not about rejecting those things. It's about what we prioritize. It's about making sure our goals and efforts are in sync with God's purpose. Like, are we building our kingdoms or his?
So what was God's purpose in all of this? Why was the temple so important?
For the Israelites, the temple wasn't just a building. It was where they believed God's presence dwelt among them.
Oh, okay. So rebuilding it was a way of demonstrating their commitment to God.
Right, an act of obedience to their covenant with God. And it's through that commitment that they could experience God's blessings and guidance.
Okay, so they put their personal desires aside, rebuild the temple, and then what? Everything's magically better. It wasn't a quick fix. It was a huge undertaking. There were obstacles, setbacks, like any major construction project. But there's this amazing turn in chapter 2. God gives them this incredible promise.
Oh, lay it on me. What did he promise?
He said the glory of this new temple would be even greater than the former one.
Glory.
Hmm.
What does that even mean in this context?
It's more than just outward appearances. It's about God's presence, his power, his blessings overflowing in a way that's beyond anything they could have imagined. Imagine their hope being reignited, knowing that even though their efforts seemed small, God was working through them to accomplish something truly magnificent.
That's pretty awesome when you put it that way. But I got to say, if I was in their shoes, I'd probably be thinking, yeah, right, my little bit of hammering isn't going to change anything.
You and me both. And honestly, that's a struggle we all face, right? We underestimate the power of our small acts of obedience, our seemingly insignificant efforts. But Haggai's reminding us, God works through those things, even when we can't see the full picture.
So for those listening right now, what are some key takeaways from Haggai that we can apply to our own lives?
I think there are 3 big ones. First, put God first. It's not always easy, but it's essential.
Okay, that's one. What else?
Second, don't underestimate the power of small beginnings. Just start somewhere. And lastly, God works through our efforts. We have to do our part, even when it feels overwhelming or insignificant.
So instead of collapsing on the couch after a long trip, maybe we take a deep breath, unpack one box at a time, and trust that God's working through our small steps to bring about something amazing.
Exactly. It's about taking those small steps of faith, rebuilding, reprioritizing, recommitting. So here's a question to consider. If we truly believe, like Haggai says, that God is working behind the scenes in our lives, what step can we take today to align ourselves with that purpose? What small act of rebuilding can we do?
You know what? I think I'm going to go unpack a box right now.
That's the spirit.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.